Welcome to Patriots Unfiltered.
I'm not going to argue with something I can't argue with things that I don't have the information on.
I'm going to make a cut-up of all of Chisholm's targets from Saturday for Paul, and I'm just going to text it to him.
I don't know if people are familiar with the movie A Clockwork Orange. They pin his eyes open. That's what we're going to do, Paul. We're going to make him watch all of Chisholm's highlight reels.
Yeah, I mean, he threw a 20-yard out in the game the other night that's going around film Twitter. That's just a rocket.
It's going around the dark web.
It's just
Momentum is only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. Like, no, sorry. When the Red Sox won 10 in a row, momentum had something to do with that.
Yeah.
That's a clutch drive. Tom Brady goes down the field and says, now you can leave.
Yeah, 17-7.
This game's over again. It's 17-7. I look at Fred and say, that's game, right?
It's true. It's true. Where do you rank Chisholm in terms of all-time Patriots? Fred. Where do you rank Chisholm relative to Stanley Morgan and Randy Moss? Slightly lower. Christian's in L.A. What nonsense today?
This is Patriots Unfiltered.
Presented by Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com.
All right, welcome to Patriots Unfiltered. It is Tuesday here at Gillette Stadium. The gang's all here. It's Deuce, Evan, Paul, me, Matt in the booth. We're talking Patriots. We're getting closer to that big day against the Raiders a week from this coming Sunday. So,
Max Crosby.
Yeah.
It's good.
he's
Can't
on
wait.
the Raiders.
Two X's.
Max Crosby and thankfully not Trey Hendrickson as well.
Oh, yeah.
I hear he's getting close. But anyway, I do digress. Today is the deadline for cut day, so that's at 4 o'clock. A lot of reports coming out around the league, teams cutting players early. This team made an announcement, was it Friday? About a handful of players.
14 of them.
And who were they? Well, the big one for me.
I can get them for you. Hold, please.
Oh, go ahead. Just read it.
It's a long list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main one.
The group on Friday was Jaheim Bell, Micah Bernard, Philip, is it Bliddy, Isaiah Bolden, Zay, Cole Fotheringham, Phil Lutz, R.J. Moten, Jordan Polk, Tyrese Robinson, Sidney So, Shane Watts, Ben Wildridge, and Kyle Pico and Monty Rice.
Okay.
That was the group that was let go on Friday.
Yeah.
Now, there have been some reports of guys that have been let go today. They've been informed that they will be getting released, but we have no official word
Right.
on any of those
So
guys
we won't
yet.
touch those yet. There'll be an official release coming out from the Patriots somewhere around 4 thereafter. I remember back in the day when, not the last regime, but the regime before that.
Correct.
4 o'clock would roll around and there'd be nothing.
Nope.
Crickets.
Paul would be 11 Miller Lights deep
Yeah.
writing a
We'd be lucky-
Russer
We'd be
update.
lucky if by 8 o'clock that night we'd have a release out.
Yeah,
I'm guessing with this regime it'll be pretty prompt.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I don't think there's a ton of really hard decisions. I think, some guys are on the bubble, but overall, I think we know who the team's going to be, who are going to be the guys that contribute. Heard from Mike Vrabel yesterday saying guys are going to rotate. And I think that's the case with a lot of teams right now early on in the season, that you're trying to look at the starters. And I do think along the offensive line, you need to have starters. You need to have kind of your guys. But defensive front, those rotation guys, even probably some of the cornerback stuff, is Christian Gonzalez ready to go wire to wire week one? Or is there a little bit of a rotation with Alex Austin and, break up his snaps a little bit?
Yep. I do want to talk about the last game against the Giants, not so much the game itself, but a lot of Paul shows are saying that what we learned from that game is that the Patriots have a big depth problem.
Yeah.
And I get it. We've talked about depth in especially certain areas on this team could be an issue going into this season. But, the alarm bells that went off because, the Giants' third stringers killed the Patriots' third stringers. These are guys on both teams that aren't going to be playing. Most of them. There are some, but most of them aren't going to be playing. And when in the other games, when the Patriots' second stringers were out there, guys more likely to make the team, they didn't do so badly. That's not to say that depth isn't an issue, but I don't know if it warranted, the alarm bells that went off on some of Paul's shows.
I think it's just a function of a new regime coming in, and they certainly extended themselves to sign a number of high-quality free agents that have come in here and are clearly taking over significant roles. Milton Williams, Robert Spillane, just a couple off the top of my head. Stephon Diggs, of course. But I think it's hard to replace your whole team and to really have quality depth in year one that fits what you're trying to do. So I'd much rather be looking at it this year this way than we did last year when, I think Paul rightly pointed out that they re-signed a lot of their guys. But, Michael Onwenu, Kyle Duggar, now we look at those guys maybe through a slightly different light. But at the same time, I think those guys were more – they didn't have the stars. They signed Christian Barmore, so I'll give him credit for that one last year. He certainly seems like a star. But I look at this as – you're going to return most of this roster, your contributors, next year as well. So you're looking at a 2-year window with most of these guys. Definitely a needed edge, I would say.
And some of these guys that might be starters this year might be bumped down next year when you bring in
absolutely.
other guys.
And then you look at some of the guys maybe that are holdovers a little bit from the previous regime. We've had a little bit of a shakeup at safety, and Craig Woodson is probably there to stay. But what's that going to look like 2-3 years down the road? So I would just watch next year for their ability to, we don't have to totally chase everything, but we can be selective. We can find some spots to upgrade, and we can also draft and sign guys that are going to be our kinds of players that provide that quality depth. So when you get into the third preseason game and those guys play, maybe you see some more guys with a little more promise. Last example I just point out is Tommy DeVito, and we joked at the end of the pregame show, or the postgame show, that's a cool fourth-string quarterback who looks like he can play a little bit. Could that be something the Patriots look at, quarterback position, as bringing in a third guy now that
that's one area
out?
where I think I would I was a little bit surprised that Wooldridge was, because he's your third guy. It's just Dobbs right now is the other quarterback. So I think they could use an upgrade there. Whether it's bringing in a third guy or even someone to replace Dobbs as a number 2 with who's available. Bailey Zappi reportedly is available. I think he'd be an upgrade over Dobbs, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody out there is really going to
let that go.
What am I going to say?
What can I say?
What can I do? Some people.
You've exasperated young Evan.
Okay. What's the problem, Evan?
No, there's no problem.
Well,
There's a little bit of a problem. Come on, let's go.
No, this is not one that I need to battle on.
No, you're not walking up this hill?
I don't care that much about it.
You don't care about, and I get that.
No, I just mean the Bailey
If Maye goes
Zappi.
down, who cares, right? But,
I do agree that
your point.
Yeah. I do agree that it's a need. I do agree that there's depth issues at quarterback right now. I just don't know if Bailey Zappi is the answer. That's all.
Well, I'm just...
Yeah, your point is...
Define the answer.
But your point is a good one. I think that they could do better at backup quarterback. I do.
Agreed.
I think,
or at least some competition.
Dobbs has been really inconsistent throughout the summer.
I think he's inaccurate, and I think what I saw from just in that last game from DeVito, I saw decisiveness and accuracy.
And it's a similar offense. So he's running with Brian Dable, so he's going to have some familiarity with what they're doing. But I think Deuce hit the nail on the head with the roster depth. I think all of us had concerns about roster depth even before this last preseason game. I think we've talked about it a lot on our shows about the fact that, they turned over the top of the roster and they look better in terms of their frontline players than what they've had in recent years. But it's going to take more than one offseason to completely flip the 53. And guys like Kyle Duggar, Anthony Jennings, Jelani Tavai, they might not be in your long-term plans, but it might be a little bit premature to move on from those players this season because they are NFL players. So if you start gutting the roster of guys that aren't scheme fits for what they're doing, especially on defense, and then you're really turning it over to depth players that, frankly, I don't know are NFL players. Mm-hmm. At least I know that if they have a rash of injuries at safety, Kyle Duggar, when right, is a starting caliber safety in the NFL. At least I know Anthony Jennings can play the role, can play the position if they need to have him in there. So I'd rather them hold their water a little bit on doing that versus let's flip the entire roster in one off season and go into the year with a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with that. I mean, if now depth is Anthony Jennings and Tavai and Duggar, I know they're a little bit overpriced to be depth guys.
But that's different.
But that's pretty good.
But that's a different argument, and I get your point. I don't think that the game had anything to do with depth, like showing you a lack of depth. Yeah, I think that where I agree with Fred,
your show says it did.
I was going to say where I agree with Fred 1,000% is that somehow. Now, to me, that it happened the week before It happened in the Minnesota game when the starters didn't do all that well against Minnesota's backups. That's when this depth thing started to sort of, everybody somehow looked at the roster and said, they're a little thin at that spot, which the three of us have been talking about all offseason. The one big concern we all had is, they've upgraded some spots, but it's really hard to do it all at once. They did a really nice job, I think, of increasing the overall talent level, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. And certainly if they lose a Gonzo, you see the impact that it has when you take him out for the whole summer. If you lose a guy here or there, you don't have a lot of depth. I didn't need the game against the Giants scrubs to tell me that they don't have a ton of depth. But Fred's right. That sort of sounded some kind of an alarm.
Yeah.
It's because people were predicting them to win double-digit games.
Right. It's like 11 wins or bust, and it's like,
right.
Are you looking what they have? Like I don't know. I guess I just didn't see that kind of overall talent level. But the other part of this is what you guys are talking about with, I'd be fine if you have all these guys, but I'm not sure that like Duggar and Keon White and like Tavai, is Christian Ellis better than Jelani Tavai? Is Craig Woodson better than Kyle Duggar?
Maybe in this
Is
defense.
Jalen Hawkins better than Jabril Peppers? So you can say that now you have depth, but I'm not sure that the guys that you're replacing those guys with are better than the guys they're replacing, which that's been my big mantra all offseason is I'm really excited about bringing in a Milton Williams, a Robert Spillane, a Carlton Davis, because I think those guys are all better than the guys they replaced. If they're going to try to do this all at once and move on from, let's face it, a contract in Kyle Duggar's case that they probably don't love, I don't think that's better for you in the short term.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
It might be better
happens.
off in the long term, but right now, I don't think the guys that are playing safety are as good as Peppers and Duggar.
Yeah.
This happens all the time, though, when there's a coaching staff and a regime
Yep.
change, and now they were running a different defense, and Kyle Duggar doesn't fit this defense, but he fit the last defense, and he signed an extension with the last regime, and this is tale as old as time in the NFL, but I think we're on the same page that if they had to play Kyle Duggar, I still feel better about that being the case than having to play some of the other guys that they've had in here at that position. So maybe
But I
you
don't
have
feel
to
as good about having to play Jalen Hawkins and Craig Woodson.
Well, but I hear you, but they're also asking them to do different things.
Yeah,
So
I think
like
that if
asking
Duggar's
him-
contract wasn't what it was, I don't think this would be such a huge problem schematically. That's. I just think they're looking to get out of that contract, which is fine. I think that's
Yeah.
like Evan just said. It's a tale as old as time. Guys want their own guys. He signed that contract under the previous regime.
Sure.
I don't think that Mike Vrabel is wrong if he thinks like that. Again, I'll go back to my shows. I won't beat them up for something that hasn't happened yet. But if they're thinking like that, I totally understand that. That's a very normal reaction. It's what I wished happened last year.
Right.
Yeah.
Figure out the guys that you like and want to, move on with, and then let the other guys go. Instead, they just re-upped everybody. And I think that's part of the reason why you're in this situation. And the other reason that you're in this situation is the obvious one that Mike always hammers home. When you draft like you've drafted, there's your depth. You don't have any depth. You don't have frontline players.
Right.
So you had to bring in free agents to replace guys that weren't good enough, and you have no depth behind them because you're draft picks.
Yeah.
We'll see about this draft class. We said everything about this draft class right now. Everything looks great. Will Campbell's going to start at left tackle, and Jared Wilson has a very good chance to start at left guard. If they're not any good, then it's going to be like it was last year when everybody said, well, Jalen Polk's starting day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then at the end of the year, you looked at that draft class a lot differently than you did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I mean, just where the injury is going to happen this year. That's the big unknown, because in a couple select spots, you're in trouble pretty quick. I just go way back.
I think we've been saying that for the last 5 years.
Yeah, and I think
if the Patriots have injuries, watch out.
right, and it's probably
right?
true. I mean, it's
definitely true.
Reaching for a random example, but going back to 2004, where Ty Law goes down, but you have an Asante Samuel kind of waiting in the wings, and there aren't a lot of positions on the roster right now where you say, like, maybe I could make an argument of saying, hey, if one of the defensive linemen goes down, maybe a rookie like Farmer gets a chance. Like that's one spot, but there aren't a lot of other ones, especially like the tackle
thin
spots.
Spot too. Those interior defensive linemen, like I guess I was thinking we were going to see a little bit more, and I haven't seen.
I haven't seen much out of Farmer or Farms.
Yeah, the depth guys.
Depth guys
certainly.
right now.
But you have Williams, Barmore, Tonga. And Tonga, I think, has had a nice summer and looks a little bit surprising. And then, you see Keon White's kind of like the hybrid guy that can move around and do different things. So I still feel like they're okay on the defensive front, especially with Chazon playing as well as he has all summer. But they're asking these safeties to do a lot of different things than what they were before. Or in the
How so? Explain that.
Yeah, so the old defense, they were two gapping up front, so guys were just kind of holding the wall and eating blocks and things like that. So the second level of the defense were the playmakers, the linebackers, and the safeties, the hybrid safeties, were the guys that were supposed to come up and make plays. Whereas now the defensive line is teeing off and they're getting up the field, so they're not necessarily asking the second and third level of the defense to make as many tackles or many splash plays as they were before. So now it's more about covering space. It's about being in space, covering more ground, sideline to sideline, but also covering in the back end in terms of pass game stuff. So the safeties are going to be more in like deep zones and like ranging over the top and like doing that sort of thing versus like Kyle Duggar coming up and trying to fill the B gap, like he would in the old defense. So there's just a lot of different moving parts in terms of what they're asking. So even though I agree with Paul, just in a game of Madden, like Kyle Duggar probably has a higher rating than Craig Woodson or Jalen Hawkins, but in this scheme, their skill set might be better than Kyle Duggar's for the type of defense that they want to run. If they're going to play those guys deep, it's going to be different.
It makes sense. Like, if you were going back in the draft, in drafting, you wouldn't draft Duggar for this system.
Right.
But for the old system where you want someone to get down closer to the line, and he made sense. So that could be possible. Yeah.
We'll see how it all comes together. I mean, I still think these things are very fluid, and as we get really going into the nitty-gritty of the season, you'll see what they have planned for specific roles. And,
I agree.
Yeah.
How does it all come together on a week-to-week basis? Certainly things have been interesting to watch, especially the last couple of days of practice that we're not allowed to report on, but they're shifting into that regular season mode, and you're getting a little bit more clarity of how they're going to see things. But I would expect a lot of rotation across both sides of the ball.
Well, Vrabel said that the other day, especially on defense.
Yeah.
Up front, he said, there's going to be a lot of guys getting reps and probably evenly distributed.
And give guys a chance
if you want to
too,
play
man.
fast,
Yeah.
like they want to play. If you want to be aggressive,
And that's
you
how
want to
the
play
Eagles
fast.
did it. Yeah.
Got to rotate. Yeah.
That's why Milton Williams didn't have a lot of reps, or
Yeah.
as much as we think he might get here.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got that on the table. Later in the show, Gary Myers just came out with this book. It's the Brady Belichick debate. And we're going to be talking to him in the 1 o'clock hour. He's going to call in. So we'll talk about the book. I've read it. Paul has read it. I learned a couple things that I don't think I knew. And we'll talk about that when he's on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So look forward to that.
Get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Finally.
What else do we got?
I got it settled.
I was going to say practice the last couple of days I just thought was, interesting. And to Paul's...
Have you noticed a change in practice since, training camp and the public portion of training camp has ended?
A little bit. I mean, it's a little more fun that they're actually doing drills on the field right in front of us now, whereas...
Oh, well, that's been fun.
during
a little closer.
During training camp, they're always like, it feels like as far away as possible. But, it was just funny because we're watching practice, and I think you did it on our first run of the show. We talked about we don't really know like where we're at right now between the last preseason game, and there's just this void in between now and the first regular season game.
It's long.
But all of a sudden in the middle of practice, like you see Vrabel go over and you're like, this isn't it. We're not reporting any of this stuff, guys. So not like game plan. All right, they're running the Raiders defense right now, but they're definitely still getting work in, and as they've made cuts, you've seen the team start to come together and get whittled down a little bit. So definitely some interesting things. I mean, I would, without saying anything, I just think Drake's looked pretty good the last couple of days, and that's what everybody wants to know, and that's the big topic du jour going into the season. But I thought he's had a solid couple of days of practice, and we'll see if the amount of activity got this summer was enough for him to start fast and come out of the gate swinging.
It's so obvious that I think, at least on this show, I don't think we've talked about it as much as other shows, but it really does come down to Drake Maye, doesn't it? I mean, it's all about his development.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to do one of those sort of worst to first, meteoric rise. You can't do that unless the quarterback plays at a much, much higher level.
Right.
And that's how, and I know it's always case by case, but just look at all the teams that you can think of that did that. And it almost always involves a guy either coming into the program and playing at a higher level or just making a huge leap from one year to the next. Like Stroud and Daniels. There's a million examples, but those are the two most recent that come to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So all eyes are going to be on him every game, every practice.
That comes with the position. I mean, he spoke yesterday, and I think he's saying all the right things. I think he gets it. And everybody needs to realize this is going to be a process. It's not going to, we're not coming out of the gate week one. Give him a little bit of leeway. And
I know no one on this show is predicting 13 wins, even 11. I've been steadfast and I'm staying with it. Floor is 6, ceiling is 10.
No.
That's what I've been saying, and I haven't seen anything yet to make me change that. Now that's a pretty wide gap, and I think they're probably going to end up somewhere in the middle, somewhere around 8. But if they do that, I'll be happy. Something had to have gone right compared to last year for them to get to 8.
Yeah.
And I'll be okay with that. If it's more than that, great. But again, we're not just 1 year, we're 2 years in a row 4-win team. It's going to take some time, folks. It really is.
I just wonder if they can win enough games and show enough promise to make themselves more desirable.
Yeah.
For some of the big
Build a
name
program.
guys
Does it
next
feel like
year.
there's a program
Well,
here?
if Drake May's playing
Yeah.
well, okay,
Right.
you're going to see the future.
Because it has been frustrating the last couple of years that it does seem like they do want to pay a wide receiver to come here to play with Drake May, but it doesn't feel like any of the wide receivers want to take their money. So can you change that narrative? Can you change that perception of the team so that next offseason, if they offer Chris Godwin type player $30-35 million, he actually takes it instead of going back to Tampa Bay, or Brandon Ayuk says don't trade for me, or Calvin Ridley goes to Tennessee instead of coming here. It would be nice to at least be able to change that perception a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you just sort of have to see it. But I would agree with Fred on the surface. If they were to win 8 games, I would be hard to believe for me that wasn't progress. Mm-hmm. That wasn't a sign of progress. Now, you're right. You might look at it and maybe they win a couple of ugly games against teams that are not very good, and Drake May doesn't look great in winning them, and then you're like, they won, but you might change your mind. Like the 21, 10-7 season, and they went to the playoffs, and it was hard not to be excited with a rookie quarterback, but somehow Cranky Paul wasn't overly excited at the time because of the way they won some of those games, taking advantage of massive injuries to a couple of teams and winning a 3-0 game in ridiculous conditions. And it just didn't really seem like it was something that was sustainable to me, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
So you might see that, and you might look at it, and say, well, I don't feel as good about the 8 wins as I thought I would feel. But I'm with Fred on the surface.
2022 season, they were 8-9 in 2022, and if you finish this year 8-9, you'd feel good. But that season was, the offense was already kind of falling apart at that point, and it did not look like it was headed in a good direction. So you can go 8-9 in this league and still not feel great about your team.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a good sign.
If Vrabel all of a sudden decides to make a defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, and all that stuff, there were conditions there.
Sure,
that 8-9 was 2 games worse than you were the previous year. So
you won some bad football games that year.
Yeah.
In 2022, just rock fights.
I think though, with the inevitable injuries that happen, it would really reflect well on this team if, let's just say, a random example, the right tackle goes down, and you need to have one of these youngsters get in and play and look competent, or if you need to turn to maybe a player we keep saying Tavai, but Jennings, you have to turn to somebody who maybe you don't think ever quite got it, but now he looks like he's playing well in this system or playing well for these coaches. Those little things, I think, might be the details you have to look for to get the full picture of the season where, they had some injuries, but, man, Vidarian Lowe had to fill in for Will Campbell for 2 days, and it wasn't a disaster like it was last year. Those things, I think, little signs that they're building a program here. I think that's, to me, what Evan's kind of getting at, that there's a program here. There's a sense of who this team's identity is, and do you want to come be a part of it? I felt that way about Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. He kind of had an identity there. You knew what you were going to have to deal with. Part of it was Derrick Henry, of course, but at the same time, those players emerge when you have a good situation, and those become your stars that lead the way.
There's one thing that we've learned, and I say learned, but one thing that's been cemented in the last few weeks is that they've just failed in the drafting the last few years. And one of the reasons we're in the situation we're in now is because of that. And when you think about it, Drake Maye being, the sole survivor of last year's draft, possibly.
Possibly. There's a couple other guys still around.
Right,
too.
but
Marcellus Dial might have been in the mix. Then they're not the star players that they needed. And every one of these draft misses from going back to whatever you want to do, 18. Every time you have one of these drafts where you don't pull anything, it's another year you're going to pay for it down the road.
And you don't have to have stars from every draft, but you need contributors. 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the high end contributors from every draft, and that builds your foundation. Those are your guys that you're building around, and then you're adding pieces through free agency and subsequent drafts. You have to do that.
But I feel like what Deuce was saying about the program, it's only half the battle to identify the talent in the draft. The other half of the battle is developing the talent.
Sure.
And them being scheme fits and all that good stuff. So you can go out there and you can think that Jalen Polk is a really good college player and you scout him and you think he's going to be a good NFL pro, but then he gets to the pros and he's in an offense that doesn't really suit him, or he's in an offense that doesn't have great coaching or great foundation to it or anything. And that can derail a young player's career, as it has in a lot of ways for Polk. So I'm not saying that Polk would have been a star if he was in a better situation, but it's kind of hard to say, was it the chicken or was it the egg with the 2024 draft, because everything was in such a state of flux with the entire program that I just don't know if any of those guys really stood a chance. And I think Drake Maye is so talented that he's kind of foolproof of this. He kind of just overcame it. But you're not going to, if you're a 3rd or 4th round pick, you're not going to overcome this kind of coaching turnover and all this different stuff. So hopefully they get back to a place with Vrabel and this staff where they can develop talent again.
That's a good point. You can't undervalue coaching in the NFL. Other sports, it's not half as important as football. That's my opinion.
There's just so many examples of guys that we all thought were going to be good coming out of college, and it just doesn't work for whatever reason. And a lot of the times it's talent, but a lot of the times it's also situation and the coaching that he had and the scheme he was in, and it just doesn't click for him at this level. So, look at Chazon. If Chazon has a good year with the Patriots, that's a former 1st round pick that's kind of had some bad luck along the way here with coaching changes and things like that. So maybe it's just as simple for him as he's in the right place at the right time now, and he realizes that.
I find myself thinking a lot about last year's class, and just a lot of the same scouts and regime that picked those players are still here. And I'm not trying to get into blame and all that, but I wonder about the whole relationship of the coaching staff saying these are the kind of players we want, or does the scouting staff bring them the players and they say these are the guys who fit what we're going to do?
On it. I can't see it working the other way. I think it has to start from the head coach down, where he sets the philosophy. Mm-hmm. He decides this is the type of football we want to play. These are the type of players we need for each position, and then he gives that menu to his scouting staff and go find these players. I can't imagine it working the other way, where they're telling the coach how to play. The coach has to tell them how they want to play, and that was the beauty of having Bill for all these years. Is you can argue about he wasn't the greatest drafter throughout, but there was always that foundation. The scouting knew how Bill this is the type of safety he's looking for. This is the type of linebacker he's looking for, and having that consistency helps. We need to get back to that.
Well, I think Vrabel's that guy. Vrabel, that's Elliot Wolf has said that they were more organized this year in the draft, and a big reason why is that Vrabel has a vision of the type of players that he wants them to draft. And I think, a big part of it is also Ryan Cowden and Stretch being involved, but it just seems like they have types now again. They have, scheme fits and guys this is our safety type. This is, the body type
Right.
we want. And this is the skill set that we want. And that's like last year's draft. I just think even at the time in real time, you were just kind of wondering like, who does this player fit? Like they were drafting, big power guards to play in an outside zone scheme. And it's like, so were you drafting based off of what they were doing in the past and you just didn't have the time, you didn't feel like, to kind of uproot the system and change it on the fly? So like Layden Robinson, isn't going to be on this team anymore, as a draft pick from last year. I never really understood the scheme with Layden Robinson. Like they were going to run a West Coast offense. They're going to be outside zone. And then they've drafted a power guard to play in that offense. And it just didn't really fit to begin with. And when you're drafting at that area of the draft, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you're not getting stars. Like that's not where you're expecting to get stars that are scheme proof. That's where you're expecting to get depth and guys that fit what you're trying to do.
Right.
So I think it's a big difference when you have a guy like Vrabel that's saying, this is what we're going to do. In all walks of it, in all position groups.
Yeah, that's I was just gonna say, sorry, Fred. That's what addendum I'd say, and I think you're right. Like you need to hit on those draft picks at least to have that base. But I would say every 2 years you need to find a star player. But every 2 years there needs to be someone somewhere that comes and can play above expectations. And if you don't do that, you don't start to find those are the guys
you have to hit in the first
Well,
round.
oddly, they have hit in the first round. Like Christian Gonzalez was a hit. I think Drake Maye we think is going to be a hit. So in a way, they have hit in the first round the last couple of years. I mean, Gonzalez is an all-pro player. Like that was one of Bill's best draft picks at the end. So it's weird. It's like they actually have hit in the first round the last couple of years. It's been the rest of the drafts that have looked like disasters.
Yeah.
Paul looks like he's holding something in. No?
No.
Oh, okay.
You guys are.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, you guys yell at me when I dominate the
You know,
conversation.
I hear a lot of people,
Dominant.
criticizing Elliott Wolf. Well, the common factor in all these drafts is Elliott Wolf, but I firmly believe that he's following orders from above.
Yeah.
And
that might be one little thing that I was holding back.
Okay.
You might have uncovered. that.
So I think we'll see see what happens with that situation, but like if you don't have that, I don't know, buttoned up, philosophy of here's the type of team, here's the type of football we want to play, it makes it tough on your talent evaluators.
Yeah.
Like, what am I evaluating for?
Right. And that's why I need to end this year feeling positive about the draft picks. I mean, I think to Paul's point, you ended last year, you didn't feel great about them. I mean, maybe we had some positivity going into the season, and maybe Caden Wallace ends up.
People were over the top. It was a bang of a draft class. I'm already seeing now people are tweeting that it looks like all the draft picks are going to make it. I don't think that will be the case because I think we haven't found out. I think there's still like another half dozen or so guys to get cut. But that to me doesn't make it a good draft class.
No.
If all your rookies make it, to me, that's
especially when you have no
that's
depth.
the baseline.
And it also could be an indication of where the status of your team.
Now,
if everybody's making it,
if you have 3 or 4 guys that start or that play key roles and they play well, then that's a good draft class.
Right.
Like I don't care if all these guys end up making it initially. First of all, it's a little deceiving too. You have a kicker and a long snapper. I mean, those guys are going to make it. But what is? I go back to like right at the top. If Will Campbell is just a tackle, is that a great draft class? Or if he's like a Pro Bowl player, okay, now you got him and you got Henderson's. It looks like a playmaker. Kyle Williams, we really don't know yet about Kyle Williams. We haven't really seen a ton from him. But if he's contributing in like, remember Malcolm Mitchell as a rookie, like, okay, there's 1, 2, 3, first 3 rounds.
Right.
You got contributing players that are playing at a pretty good level. That's a good draft class.
That's a good draft
And
class.
it looks like Woodson's going to be a contributor too. So.
Yeah, I think he's playing. I put him in the second category. Like, I expect him to be playing. I don't know how well he'll play. I haven't seen anything from him all summer.
He does a lot of things on the back end, you know.
Things that I don't see.
Well, you're not a ball knower, Paul.
But that wasn't for him. That was just in general. It's like that's what they're selling.
Well,
So I'm not buying everything that they're selling. Let's put it that way.
okay. No, we
I think
have
there's
to
a little
see it.
CYA going on with Elliott Wolf.
I don't think that. I hear you with Craig. Like, I don't think Craig Woodson's going to be an impact player on the ball, right? But I think he's going to be in the right spots, and he's going to be positionally sound. And he's going to cover ground back there, and he's going to do the things that they ask him to do. I just
Like Deron Harmon?
sure, like Deron Harmon. Like is he going to be Earl Thomas and have a bunch of interceptions and plays on the football? Probably not. But you need those types of guys.
Yeah, you do, Paul. Not everyone can be,
I
know,
need Devin McCourty
Palomalo.
types.
Well,
I don't need Deron. I need Devin McCourty types. If you're going to be that guy,
Okay,
you're not going to
well,
be
he's a Pro
necessarily.
Bowler.
But if you're not going to necessarily be that, but he wasn't really a Pro Bowl safety. He was more of a Pro Bowler early in his career. If you're going to be like a non-playmaker back there, you're just going to always be in the right spot.
Yeah, traffic cop.
I want Devin McCourty.
Yeah,
We all do.
we all do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I want you to be like that. Like, to Evan's point, like, there's things that Devin McCourty did that you didn't always notice, but
Yes.
he was always
But
in the
you
right.
noticed it when he wasn't on the field.
Right,
because
and I
it-
noticed that they
Yeah.
almost never gave up those over-the-top kind of plays.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's what's happening with Craig Woodson, then I'll gladly sit here and say, well, he's that kind of a player.
Okay.
Yeah.
855-PATS-500 is the hotline.
I haven't seen that in the preseason games or in the practices.
It's hard to see anything in the preseason games.
I watch practice, though. You
Pod-
can see a lot there.
Podcast at patriots.com is the email address. Let's get to the phones. Remember, we're going to be talking to Gary Myers in the second half of the
Remind me
show.
of that line later.
What's that?
Nah, I'm just talking to Evan over here. We're having a
About
little side
me?
show.
You pointed at me
I
when
said,
you were
remind me
talking.
of that line later.
What line?
Yeah, it's hard to see anything in the preseason
It is.
games.
It is. I don't know what to. I
See
mean,
something.
during the Brady years,
Certain
like
receivers.
rarely did they have a winning preseason, even when they were at 4 games.
Oh, we're not talking about wins and losses. We're talking about the personnel.
I'm talking about, like, how many times during the Brady years we'd watch a preseason game. Boy, our 2s and 3s aren't as good as their 2s and 3s, right? We said that a lot.
I'm sure I did. I don't know.
We did.
I haven't really cared about the preseason in a long
Okay,
time.
that's my point.
Neither has the NFL.
25 years.
That's my point.
Well, maybe they've cared about it a little longer than you. But
Billy's. If you talk about joint practices, I think that's more valid. Billy's in Rentham. What's up, Billy?
Hey,
Billy.
Terrell Jennings.
Hey,
Yes.
Terrell Jennings, the guy on
turn it up, Matt.
53-man roster, and he's cut. Is he an IR guy, or is he a 53-man guy, or practice squad, or what do you guys think his deal?
Terrell Jennings?
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
he got hurt, and we haven't really seen much of him, so I'm not sure where that puts him right now.
Yeah.
But I liked him last summer. I saw more of him last summer. He never really jumped out to me this year
He's okay.
like he did last year. He kind of ran hard last year. But yeah, he's a big question mark for me. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sick on the practice squad, but I haven't seen anything to think that he's going to push for a 53 spot.
Yep.
Yeah, we just saw Casey, that's why I was thinking.
yeah,
Maybe,
Yeah, those guys probably practice squatters though. I think.
yeah, I did. Do they keep 4 running backs? I think is one thing that was sort of circled on my, because I think Glenn Larison was going to make the team
Thanks,
if he
Billy.
had stayed healthy. My guy
Yeah.
got hurt. I think he was going to make the team. So do they pivot to a different running back? I think there's reports out there that it's not going to be Hasty, that Hasty was released. So
Yeah. And certainly to Billy's point, if Terrell Jennings is on the 53-man roster, I think Evan's right. That was a sign that Lan Larison probably would have made the team. Now, if they stick with 3, then I don't know.
Let's go to Christian. He's going to behave today. Christian in L.A. What's up? Oh, what's going on over there?
You guys hear me okay?
Well, what are you doing?
I'm in an Uber.
I can't hear you. It's hard. Are you better now?
Can you guys hear me better now?
We'll keep talking. Keep talking.
So, first of all, I just wanted to say, what did you think of Bradbury that to wait instead of sitting on injury reserve?
It's hard to hear you. Sorry, Christian. You got a bad connection. He's calling from an Uber.
Sounds
Is
like
that
he was calling
important?
from underwater.
Yeah, it's hard.
something about Bradbury. I heard that
Yeah, I don't know.
Bradbury's on the team, and he's going to be the starting center, and we're going to see how it goes. That's
And you will like
that's-
it.
That's the Bradbury analysis. Like, he's going to play. He's going to start. If it goes poorly, I think it could get interesting. Maybe Ben Brown goes into the starting lineup. Maybe Jared Wilson bumps over the center and something like that. But they're going to roll with Bradbury for now.
All right, Brent's in Reno. Hey, Brent.
Hey guys, talking about draft classes, I want to throw a shout out to Boss Man Fred Kirsch for hiring Hot Claudia. Game show, we'll love it. Great pick. Second, I would like to, and I'll take this off the air. Can you guys throw down a Madden rating for what you see this team as right now?
Throw out a Madden rating for every team? Is that what you said?
No, just this team, just the Patriots.
Like the overall team Madden rating or like player Madden rating?
Yeah, do you think that we're sitting in the 70s?
I don't even know what that means. So I don't know.
So each team, all 32 teams
Right,
get
thanks, Brent.
an overall grade.
Yeah.
From Madden.
So what's high? Who's high?
99 is the highest.
99 is high. Does anyone have a 99?
No.
Okay.
No.
What's the highest team?
Probably in the high 90s.
Yeah.
But not,
Okay.
99, the 99 club is like a player thing, but that's like the 4 or 5 best players in the NFL get rated 99s. I think this year it's Lamar, Josh Allen, Miles Garrett.
Yeah, so what
those
would
types
your
of
rating
guys.
be if you're an 8-win team?
Usually probably
78.
like a 78.
Okay, that's what it is.
I'm going to put out an exact number for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually I will, for what it's worth, Madden typically, they're kind of polite about it. Like their scale is not like, it's not like, the team they think is going to pick number 1 overall is like a 40, and then the team they think that's going to win the Super Bowl is like a 98, right? It's usually like the team that they think are the worst in the league are like a 70, They're kind of nice about it. So that's Madden. There you
Okay.
go. There's your Madden minute.
My son kills me in Madden. It's so frustrating.
That's embarrassing.
Kills me.
It's-
And I'm trying to run
Yeah.
plays and stuff, and he just knows
No.
how to work the controller and go to the guy that he needs to get, and picks off every pass
Well, that's
that I
the
have.
thing. Half the battle is learning the controller.
That's what it is.
Learning to do it without looking at it.
I'm getting all cocky. I'm like, I'm gonna hit you with a blitz right here, and he's just like, touchdown.
Yeah, no, that's like second. Not having to look at the controller is like second nature for us. That's like.
No, whenever I throw a pass, he switches to the cornerback and he breaks on it and picks it off every single time. I can't. My guys can't get open. I'm easy to
zones,
defend.
Mike.
You gotta use your
gotta
controller.
identify
Play Madden,
the cover.
Paul? Because if you could,
I haven't played Madden
If you
since,
could
like, the
operate a
original.
controller like you do a remote, you'd be
Yeah.
unbeatable. Unbeatable.
I was not very good at Madden. My kids showed me how to play enough to get a playoff,
Yeah.
and then they just destroyed me.
I would
But this
say
is going back 20 years.
the key
No
to
32
Madden
lead
is
15 years anyway.
remember the Titans, how he says that we run the same 3 plays. It's no, okay, we just keep running them. That's Madden. You can't, if you're going in there and you're trying to scroll through the pages.
So you hate
and,
Madden then?
and all these playbooks, all this stuff. No, what you got to do is you got to find the one team that you really like playing with, and then find 2 or 3 plays that really work with that offense. For me, it was Gronk on the corner route, and you have Vereen or White releasing into the flat, and you'd high-low the defender out there, and you just
Works even in Madden.
it would just
Put
kill.
him in the grinder.
It would just kill, and I could run that play 100 times in a row, and nobody could stop it because the
They're all
computer
spinning. They're in
just
the blender, Mike.
Yeah.
Got the defense spinning.
You know what to
and
do.
and if you run the ball in Madden or you punt in Madden, you're soft. Don't do that.
Or kick extra points.
Yeah, don't do that.
No.
That's it. That's all I got.
That's a little bit more than a Madden minute
Yeah.
right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mike would give up the ball on 3 downs just so he could go back to play
No,
defense.
I love calling it D.
Yeah.
That's what I love,
It's just
Cover
people
one,
that you play in
spinning the
Madden,
dial.
and it's 4th down, and they're like, "We're gonna play field position here." It's what are you doing? It's a video game.
Dave in Bethlehem would like an autopsy of the 2020 drafts. Were the trade priority poor? Did scouts mess up? Did Belichick ignore input?
2020.
Why?
2020?
Oh, the 2020s.
Oh,
Jeez.
Yeah.
2020.
a
So
lot
why
to-
were they so bad?
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
There.
What's the autopsy?
I mean, there's probably no simple answer, but I do feel Bill, the whole notion of identifying the players you want and that fit you, I think part of the problem was those guys were no longer as effective in the current game. He's looking for, bigger guys to be stout in 2-gap, and a lot of other teams are sort of transitioning to smaller, quicker, more athletic, deep defenders. And at the same time, you're looking to exploit those guys a little bit on offense. The playmaker thing, it speaks for itself with Belichick's drafts. When was the last real playmaker he was able to acquire?
Fred Gary's ready to go.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, we won't make them hold on. Gary Myers is on the line, and Gary is coming out on September 16th with Brady versus Belichick. I've got that right here. I've read it. Paul has read it. Gary, welcome to the show.
How you doing, guys? Thanks for having me on.
It's Paul Perillo, Evan Lazar, Mike Dussault, myself, Fred Kirsch. First of all, congratulations on the book.
Thanks a lot. It was really a lot of fun to research and write it. And I've told people that, although I was working in New York all those years, I covered an awful lot of Patriots games. So I felt like I'd lived through the whole 20 years, like people in New England did, and met a lot of people, made a lot of contacts, and hopefully put together a book that people will enjoy reading.
So a lot of these books, these retrospective books, we go in hoping to learn new things, which even I've been around with the team for over 30 years. I think I learned some new things, and we can get into that in a little bit. But what did you learn in the process of writing this book?
That's a good question. Let me think about that one for 1 second. I think the thing that really stood out to me was that people have tended to forget what Belichick's influence was on Brady early in his career, because it surely seemed over the last 10 years of the dynasty, and I think it's two distinct 10-year dynasties in which they won 3 Super Bowls in each of the 10 years. But I think in the last 10 years, it was clearly Brady's team, and he was the dominant contributor and personality of the team. But early on, like I said, I think when people are starting to evaluate the 20 years together, they're forgetting that Tom was a 6th-round pick, and if he hadn't gotten drafted by Belichick, he may not have been drafted. And Bill kept him as a 4th-string quarterback, and then the following year, everybody knows that Bledsoe got hurt, and he was ready to come back 2 months later, and Bill kept and stuck with Tom. And I think Belichick deserves a lot of credit for all those things I just mentioned, but I think it kind of gets lost in the overall evaluation of the Patriots' accomplishments. And I think that's what I really took out of this, is that with all the people I spoke with, it's, the ones who said it was clearly Tom, and I used to play devil's advocate for a little bit. I was saying, well, what about this and what about that, and how it all got started, and doesn't Belichick deserve credit for that? And we've kind of forgot about that stuff. Yeah. So I think, again, the overall big picture tends to overshadow the early years of the Brady-Belichick relationship.
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned you talked to, you had a lot of interviews in this book, and you talked to a lot of different people. Did anybody, I assume that some of these people you didn't really have much of a relationship beforehand. Did anybody really stick out to you as being really insightful in terms of their analysis?
Absolutely. And I'm going to give you a name, and you're going to say, how did you not know that? But I didn't really know Devin McCourty before I sat down with him. I had breakfast with him one morning in New Jersey, a year and a half ago, whatever. And I had heard from, Aaron Salkin of the Patriots PR department when I was asking him for his recommendations on some guys that I didn't know, who would be good for me to get together with. He said that Devin was at the top of his list, and I'd come away blown away by what a great guy he was and how smart he was and insightful. And I think Aaron even underestimated Devin. He's one of the, I've gotten to know him really well in the time since I interviewed him, and we've gotten together a few times. In the 40 years I've covered the league, I put him in my top 5 of guys that I really, really like a lot. And he's just a great guy, and he's really smart, and I'm not surprised he's doing so well on television. And, on top of all that, obviously, he was a great player. Voted a captain in only his 2nd year is pretty unusual for a team that was, filled with veterans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gary, I'm sure you know that he and I are colleagues on the Patriots, preseason games. So, Devin and I are pretty tight. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You're lucky because I really enjoy him a lot.
He's great.
One of the things I learned, Gary, and I don't want to give away, your conclusion. Let people read it and read that for themselves. But one of the things I learned, I didn't know that when Kraft bought the team, that Parcells had asked if maybe Tim Mara could be hired as sort of a go-between. Like, I had no idea about that.
Yeah, it wasn't so much to be hired. He wanted Kraft to sell 1% of the team to Tim Mara. Tim was Bill's confidant with the Giants. Now, Bill had a great relationship with Wellington Mara, but he was really close to Tim Mara. And he felt that Tim could be kind of the buffer between him and Kraft, and suggested to him, I don't know how deep into the Kraft ownership that happened, but it wasn't very long, that he went to Kraft and said, I got this great idea. Why don't you sell 1% to Tim Mara? He's my guy, and then we can communicate through him. And Kraft goes, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want anybody between you and me. I want us to have that kind of relationship. And Bill just never embraced Kraft, which you guys know, because after 4 years, the relationship kind of disintegrated, and Bill was gone. But I think that's something they both come to regret. But just the fact that Bill wanted to bring in his own guy into ownership, right, tells you all you need to know about how Bill felt about Kraft in the early years.
I wanted to stick on the Parcells thing because one of the things that stood out to me when reading it was the story of when Parcells originally left the Giants. And you had sort of explained how, and I remember, I was just out of college when this happened, and I sort of remember, but I wasn't in the business yet or anything like that, so I didn't know all the details. I always felt Parcells left the Giants late, when he stepped down, and it was after Belichick had already accepted the Cleveland job, and I kind of took that as, well, he obviously didn't want Belichick to replace him, but you sort of explained how George Young had always said that Belichick would never be the Giants' head coach.
Yeah, Parcells, towards the end of the 1990 season, went to George Young and said, do you want me to do everything I can to keep Belichick and or Tom Coughlin? Because, Tom then went to Boston College and stayed the rest of the season with the Giants, and Belichick got hired, quickly after the Giants beat the Bills in that Super Bowl. And George told him, no, let them both go if they want to go. And Bill goes, but I'm not sure what I'm doing next year. And George said, no, that's okay. And that's because he had Ray Hanley in mind, the running back coach that nobody ever really knew much about. But he was very similar to George. They're both very, professorial types, I would say, kind of eggheads. And George felt Ray Hanley was a kindred spirit, although nobody had any idea that he did anything for the Giants, other than he was really helpful to Parcells in the game management, because he was a card counter in Vegas, and he actually got thrown out of Vegas for doing that. So he's great with numbers. And so managing the clock in the last, few minutes of a game, it came naturally to him, and that was his biggest contribution. So when Belichick left, Coughlin had already decided to leave to go to BC, and then Bill didn't leave until the middle of May. A lot of people thought that Bill did it to screw over the Giants because he and George didn't get along. Right. And that goes back to after Bill's first season, he was 3-12-1. And George would have hired Howard Schnellenberger to replace him, except Schnellenberger turned it down. Bill found out about it through Al Davis, who found out about it through Jimmy the Greek. And so Parcells always resented George after that. And I think that had something to do with the fact that Belichick and George never got along. So Belichick was never going to be the coach of the Giants. Taking the Cleveland job, if he wanted, I'm not even sure he would have survived the changeover to the staff to Ray Hanley. Not that he would have wanted to, but if he didn't get the Cleveland job, I'm not sure where Bill would have been coaching in 1991.
Yeah. The other thing I think I learned, I'm not sure I knew this, but maybe I forgot, but you write that on the day that Brady went over to tell Kraft that, this is it, I'm leaving, that he already had the Tampa Bay job. He had already decided that he was going to the Bucs. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I think that, well, first of all, there weren't that many teams that were going after Brady. If you remember, the Raiders were somewhat interested, but Gruden put the kibosh on that. Tom actually said a couple of months ago that Chicago was a possibility. But Tampa was his handpicked spot. Again, it wasn't like he had 20 teams after him. And he had studied the roster, and there were some pieces in place in the front office there he's familiar with. And they had a really good team. They were 7-9 in 2019 with Jameis Winston throwing 30 interceptions to go along with 33 touchdowns. So it was clear they had a good team if they could win 7 games with a quarterback throwing 30 interceptions. So he knew that it was a spot, and it was only a couple of days later that they made it official.
Yeah.
I got a question, Fred, if I hop
Go
in.
ahead, Mike.
Hey, Gary. You've written about the 49ers, the Cowboys, some of these other dynasties. Do we only look at this Patriots dynasty as Belichick versus Brady? Was there an element of, Bill Walsh, Montana, or Staubach, and Landry? Do we only look at this relationship on the Patriots uniquely this way?
Meaning, when we look at the Niners,
who was more
are there debates about who was more?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the Niners, there was, Walsh and Montana won 3 Super Bowls together, but then the year after Walsh retired, Montana led the Niners to another Super Bowl with George Seifert, and that was one of the 2 or 3 of the better teams that the Niners had. I think the reason that we're kind of fixated on this somewhat is because it was 6 championships together. Walsh and Montana was 3, Landry and Staubach was 2, and they also lost a couple of Super Bowls together. The fact that Brady and Belichick was 6-3, 2 more Super Bowl championships than Nolan Bradshaw won, and 2 more than Montana won, and like I mentioned, 3 of those were with Walsh. I think that the body of work almost begs the question, and because it also lasted 20 years, it begs the question of which one of these 2 was more responsible. And when you think that Belichick is, arguably the best coach in NFL history, and Brady is inarguably the greatest quarterback in NFL history, it's such a unique circumstance when you have guys who are, at the very top of what they did, and they did it together. I think it's only natural to try to figure out which one was more responsible.
Yeah.
And despite all that, Gary, who did Jimmy Garoppolo say was responsible?
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the best quotes I have in the book when I asked Jimmy that question, and he said it was Kraft, basically because he was putting out fires all the time.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't use this quote that Jimmy says, one day we'll get together for a beer and I'll tell you all the inside stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from players and coaches. Yeah. Just give me a few years when I'm out of the game and I'll tell you all the good stuff.
Right. Well,
they retire. They say, I still can't tell you that.
Well, that's the thing, Gary, is people say, why did the Patriots dynasty break up? Well, what was I think the real question is, how did they keep it together for 20 years? Because you talk to guys like Jimmy Johnson, and once you start winning, everyone's got their hand out, and the entitlement that goes on in any organization from the top down. But to keep this together for 20 years, I think Kraft did have a lot to do with that in terms of whether it's putting out fires or just mending fences between Belichick and Brady and all that. So I can understand where Garoppolo's coming from when he says that.
Absolutely. I think that's the understated contribution of the dynasty is Robert Kraft's role in it. Besides all the marketing, he's a great businessman, as you all know, and he bought a franchise for about $200 million. That's probably worth close to $10 billion now. But a lot of that has to, be attributed to Belichick because the winning is what increased the value of the team. I think Kraft did a lot, especially the last 10 years, to keep things together and to try to patch things up and smooth things over between Kraft and Belichick. Because, between Brady and Belichick, the more you win, the harder it is to stay together. Al Davis always told Parcells, 10 years is the max you can coach in one place because your audience starts turning a deaf ear to what your message is. Now, I think that's changed over the years because of free agency, because there's a 30% roster turnover on the average team every year, so you have a new audience every year. But for them to stay together as long as they did was remarkable, and for it to not blow up until after 20 years together is unheard of. And I think that the one question I didn't address in the book, sometimes I just kick myself sometimes after it's too late to change anything. The one question I would have liked to explore, and maybe you guys have insight into this, is what would have happened if Belichick was the one who went to Tampa and Tom stayed in New England? So Tom tried to win with the roster that Belichick had put together with, say, Josh McDaniels as the head coach. And Belichick went to Tampa with that roster, and maybe he would have kept Jameis Winston, I don't know, or just brought in
non-playoff
somebody else.
Yeah, not with Winston. He wouldn't be winning with Winston. Yeah.
No, maybe he would have brought Cam Newton to
non-playoff team.
Right.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
But could Belichick have, if they were to switch spots then? Because one of the quotes in the book from Belichick that he told me was that Tom, they wouldn't have won in 2020 with Tom because the roster had fallen apart to such an extent that he didn't think Tom could win there. So, but in what I would call the alternate universe, that I had a chapter in the book about the alternate universe, about things that could have happened in NFL history but didn't. I should have included this: would Belichick have won in Tampa without Tom, and could Tom have won in New England without Belichick? The way those two teams were constructed in 2000.
I think if it's a fun discussion, but I think for Bill it would have taken longer. He needs to build his team the way he wants.
The answer is probably no for both. Yeah. But I would say that same roster won 12 games with Brady quarterback in the year before. It was deteriorating all over the place. We knew it. Yep. We were all covering it at the time. I don't think they were a championship contender even if Brady stayed, but they wouldn't have fallen apart like that with Brady as the quarterback.
If you remember, and you guys know this better than I do, but at the end of the 2019 season, didn't the Patriots lose a home game to Miami?
Oh, yeah.
That cost them a first-round bye.
Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible
Absolutely.
loss.
Yeah, so it just continued the next week against Tennessee in the playoffs. The arrow was pointing down, but if they had won that game against Miami, who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have won the Super Bowl, but you never know.
Yeah. But like I said, when Vrabel came in here, he's bringing in his guys. When Belichick first got to the Patriots, one of the first things he did was start to bring in his guys, like, Bobby Hamilton and Anthony Pleasant and,
Sure.
guys that were his circle the wagon guys, like Parcells used to call them. So I think Bill going to Tampa, it wouldn't have been. I think eventually he'd probably start winning, but I don't think it would have been immediately.
Well, you have to remember this, in my opinion at least, the Tampa roster in 2020 was much better than the Patriots roster in 2000.
God, yes. Yeah.
All they needed was a quarterback. They had a good defense. They had a really good offensive line. They had two good receivers in Evans and Godwin. They had some good tight ends. That they just needed a quarterback. Yeah. Maybe they needed the greatest quarterback ever to win. Maybe somebody a notch or two below wouldn't have won. Yeah. But I think I'm not sure that Belichick would have had to turn over that roster.
Well, it'd be a culture shock for those guys under Bruce Arians and then going to Bill Belichick. That would have been like, yeah. So I don't know. But Gary, I appreciate it. The book is Brady versus Belichick. It is going to be available September 16th. Do I have that correct?
That's right. It's Brady versus Belichick, the Dynasty Debate, September 16th. And anybody who's interested in pre-ordering, Amazon, wherever online services you like, or it'll be in bookstores on September 16th.
Some of us still go to bookstores. All right, Gary, thanks a lot. Congratulations on the book. We'll talk to you some other time, perhaps.
Anytime, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. Gary. That's Gary Myers, Brady versus Belichick. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
If you're in the game or betting on the game, you'll need a game plan. DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the New England Patriots, provides you with everything you need to build your personal betting game plan so you can get in on all the action while practicing safe bets. Visit DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming to learn more about all the safe betting tools DraftKings has to offer, Hope is here, 800-327-5050 or gamblinghelplinema.org. Must be 21 plus. Play it smart from the start. GameSenseMA.com. Physically present in Massachusetts. See DraftKings.com/responsible-gaming for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources.
Isn't it time to get exactly what you want? Welcome to Red Hot Deal Days from Verizon, where you get your pick of our best deals. Like My Plan, where you can pick the perks you want and save on every one. For limited time, bring your own phones to a Verizon store and you can get My Plan for our best price ever. Get exactly what you want in your phone plan and only pay for what you need. Bring your phones to your Verizon store today and get My Plan. These deals won't last. It's your Verizon.
With FedEx One Rate, you can ship to your student for a simple, predictable flat rate. Send a box full of home-baked treats that say, "Your father and I miss you." Or send a box full of instant noodles that says, "Your father and I would like you to stop asking us for money." Either way, one rate fits all. FedEx One Rate. 2-day shipping, one flat rate. Starting at $14.50. Visit FedEx.com/OneRate for details. Exclusions apply.
Today at practice?
Yeah, I think really, I think just keep on going. Us first, our defense. I think it's always great work. With the guys they got over there, the different stuff they do, and then really just us. Keep working on communication. Knowing our rules, following our rules, and building chemistry to get ready for week 1. And I think I've been proud of the guys the last 2 days of taking this time to get better and not kind of use it as a kind of relaxed week. I think we're trying to get after it and get ready for week 1.
Great. You satisfied with the foundation that's been laid here through everything from the spring through the summer to now the end of training camp?
Yeah, I think we've just been trying to buy in. Coach Vrabel came here and made it clear from day one, hey, drop your egos at the door. We're getting here to work. We want guys to finish and work hard and give effort. And I think we're starting to see that and build that, and we just got to keep working and bring it to the field. Week 1. So I'm just trying to do my part and try to come out here every day and try to get better.
What aspect of being the quarterback makes you the most nervous right now as you prepare for your first career week 1 start?
What aspect of being the quarterback makes me most nervous? I wouldn't say nervous. I think just anxious to get out there. Be in front of a home crowd, hopefully a good crowd. Nerves wise, I think I get nervous about the same amount every game out there. I think no matter back to high school, kind of the same. Not really nerves, just jitters getting out there. And kind of once you get going in the game, I feel good. And kind of from here, just getting ready with the new guys, kind of new guys playing with. So kind of building chemistry with them. It's probably I'd say in a game-like setting. But other than that, I wouldn't say nervous. I think just more excited and anxious.
How would you describe the identity of this football team, or what we're going to see in the regular season?
Yeah, I think we're trying to build a team that's bringing it every play. No plays off, no days off. And I think what Coach, I'm trying to build, and what the guys are trying to, give into is, if you're not going to play hard and you can mess up and do a mistake, but do it at full speed. And I think we're trying to bring that and play hard on the other team, be in good condition, and then from there just try to execute in situational football. I think that's what we're preaching. So many games are won and lost by one score and situations, so try to excel in that area, and from there just take care of the football and give us a chance every week.
Sure. Now that you've had the whole summer working with Josh McDaniels, just what's your level of excitement now that kind of the 3 preseason games are out of the way? The next game is the the season opener.
Yeah.
So what's your level of excitement working with him?
Yeah, I think I'm pumped up. I think anytime you get a chance to go into a game and you'll see how the game plan works, and you get to see a little bit in preseason, but now it's full go. Kind of game planning a team and watching tape with him in there, and just seeing what he's seeing and try to be on the same page. That's the funnest part, I think, of playing the position, of trying to see something in the film room on Monday or Tuesday, go out there and do it in practice and execute in the games. That's kind of how the ritual goes, and it feels good when you see it on tape and accomplish something. So just getting into the groove, and I think just having a coordinator who trusts me and puts full trust in the guys and myself, and go out there and have some fun.
Do you have a sense of what the game planning process is going to be like with Josh?
Yeah, we got a little bit of sense of it in preseason. Obviously, it's different from the full week to kind of get going with the guys. I'm excited. Just trying to be all in on the Raiders and take 1 week at a time, and then from here just try to take the little details and like I said, follow our rules and go out there and kind of be instinctive and play hard.
How important is it to you to get Stephon involved, even on the practice field, and just feeding him targets and developing whatever you guys can develop together?
Shoot, he's a phenomenal player. What he can do, and how much ball he's played, and how many plays he's make. Just try to give him the football, and whether it's extra work with him or extra work out of practice or in the film room, but trying to be on the same page. And I think once he's got one-on-one matchups, or he feels zone, knows coverage really well. So I think he can do a lot of things well. So it's good for us to use him as much as he's able to handle. And I think it's excited to get out there and throw him a couple footballs and building the chemistry in practice. I think we've got kind of built it here lately, and I think just kind of carry that into the season.
Is there any pressure on you? He's a guy who's obviously accomplished a lot in his career.
Yeah.
Is there any pressure on you as a young quarterback to make sure he gets the ball, make sure he's feeling good about where he's at?
I wouldn't say pressure. I think he knows, he knows the plays, and I always try to tell the guys, hey, if you've seen something, hey, give me something on the sideline or something like that. But I'm going to try to throw the guys that open. If he's open a lot, then he'll get the ball a lot. So.
Drake, you mentioned after the Minnesota game, after that first drive, you had a couple who were high. You said, I just came out a little juiced up, a little fired up.
Yeah.
Do you have any strategies in mind for saying, all right, how can I get out there and just relax at the beginning of games? Because it's not unique to you. It's he had it, Favre had it. A lot of guys have it.
Yeah. I think just it's kind of like back in the day playing basketball, kind of find a layup before you start shooting some threes. I think just whether it's a good run or with the guys up front and the running backs, or maybe easy completion. But other than that, I think it's just get out there, and I think that's part of it. I think it's whether it's going to be kind of the jitters or going to be fired up. That's more of what it is, just to kind of calm that. And I think kind of use the guys around me as well. I think use the guys around me to kind of feel like, hey, if they're pumped up, I'm gonna get a little pumped up. But when I get out there, kind of be cool and calm and collected.
See, I think you should get hit. I think you just audible right into a read off.
Yeah. I'm sure that'd be great. Yeah, I'm sure that'd be great.
Cutdown day tomorrow. Have you detected any anxiousness in the locker room or among the players as we approach it tomorrow?
Yeah, it's always a tough day. I really got to experience it. One time last year with the guys around the locker room, obviously you hear about it, and so many guys out here that work their butts off that are kind of fighting and crawling to make the team, and it's news that obviously they're unfortunate for them and unfortunate for us who build a relationship with them. And I remember the rookies. I felt like all those guys were with me in training camp, and coming out of rookie minicamp, and next thing you know, like that, we got down to 10 or 12 rookies in the locker room from 30. So it was tough for me to you realize that's the nature of the business. And then from there, just to pump those guys up. If you never know, miss him again. You see Hasty back out here and guys like that. So you never know. The relationship's never over. And for those guys, just another step in the journey, and try to stay in touch with them.
Drake and Josh, and now, great moments in history.
By the way, speaking of Edelman, I'm a little worried about him.
Why?
Me too. He is too jacked.
Yep,
I mean,
100%.
It's like he's become a bodybuilder.
He's going to get hurt.
I think it's all edited.
I think it's like, now that Tom's gone, I'm not doing that TB12 stretching anymore and the lean muscle and the like he's
vein
like
expert.
Yeah,
I know, because that really
like
kept him healthy in the past. He's really been durable.
Yeah,
I mean, veins are popping out. Like he is jacked up.
He's just thirsty on Instagram. It's like, come on, take it easy, Jules.
I'm a little worried about his obsession with the short shorts, the cutoff.
Listen, if I looked like him, I'd be nude.
That's another great moment from
All right, back here in Patriots Unfiltered.
Fred is
nude. Thank you, Gary Myers, for doing that. It's a good read. I would suggest it.
Easy.
Yeah.
It'll take you, Patriots fans, take you down memory lane too.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. It's a good read, and like I said, I won't give away his conclusion, but you can probably guess what it was. But it's good stuff.
Gave it away.
Yeah.
I think if you were listening to his interview, you wouldn't guess what it was.
No.
Very down the line.
Yeah.
Nate writes in from Connecticut. He's not calling in. Says, I'm emailing because the phone lines have been down for me for some reason. I was really committed to getting a call in to tell you guys I'm going back to school tomorrow and will be unable to call in anymore unless I am sick on Tuesday or Thursday.
So I just assumed his mother has him on punishment.
Yeah.
He's not allowed to use his phone.
My hopefully not final question for you guys is, what do you guys think of the Jacoby Myers trade request? The big pattern we've noticed is when you request a trade, you get paid. Is Jacoby looking to get paid, or does he really not want to be in the situation he's been in Vegas for the last few years? I'd love to have him back in New England, as he was very productive, and him paired with Maye is a match made in heaven. I think it's all about money.
Well,
right?
he is looking to get paid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think the
Career year
conditions
last year.
are like intolerable. I think it's just they've tried to talk, and I guess it just hasn't gone anywhere, and he wants his money.
Yeah, I think it's.
What's his stats like?
He had 1,000 yards.
I mean, he like
80 catches,
2019,
1,000 yards.
2020, 2021, 2022. I mean, every quarterback that he's played with, he's been productive, and you can't knock that. Production is all that
He's
matters.
a good player who finds space, does all those things. Evan and I talked about it a little bit off air. I would take him back. I think he's a good player, and I was very high on Jacoby Myers. Never wanted him to leave in the first place.
That's true. You were right on.
I just
right side of
feel
history of that one.
I just feel like they have enough of those kinds of receivers.
Yeah, right.
You know, and Diggs is obviously a higher end, type of, kind of
Right.
zone beater, find
Yeah.
space, versatile to beat man and zone.
He doesn't change the equation for the
You
Patriots.
got
offense
Douglas
at
in
all.
the slot. You got everybody's favorite,
Booty.
Efton Chisholm.
Oh, Matt
in the
Collins.
slot.
Chisholm.
Right? I mean, another guy who finds space and creates separation. Underneath. I just don't know how many of those guys you need.
Yeah, if your response to this is that just take the talent and figure it out later,
I'd be
that's
okay with that.
Totally a fair take to have on it. But when you sort of get into the minutia of it, Jacoby Myers is a Z receiver. Stephon Diggs is a C receiver. So if you trade for Jacoby Myers, one of those guys is playing out of position. And I don't know if they are, especially Diggs at this point of his career, I don't know if he's going to be productive playing the X. Like, I don't know if that's really going to be a good role for him.
No, it's either Z or the slot.
Right.
Yeah. He's not an outside guy.
Right. So if you put him at the X, how is Stephon Diggs really going to feel about that? Because now the targets are going to be funneled someplace else. We all know that role is the role that gets the high volume in this offense. Essentially, what I'm saying, they signed Diggs to be Jacoby Myers, right? Like that, they have redundancy. They're overlapping receivers. So, yeah, you could sit here and say just take the good receiver and we'll figure out all these problems later. But I think it's more complicated than that with this particular receiver in this particular offense. So,
Richard in Attleboro, along the Myers trade rumor type of discussion, he says, I always felt that letting Jacoby go was a favor Bill gave to Josh to help him in Las Vegas. I don't think it was.
It wasn't.
No. He also wants to know, has the Patriots considered creating an official Discord? You guys know what we're talking about there,
Yes.
the forums?
We have not considered that, but maybe an offline conversation. we could have about that.
I'm not surprised that you like Discord.
Discord's fun. It's basically like, it's kind of like a newer Reddit where like you have like live conversations. So instead of posting to it and then people reacting, you host like a Q&A for like an hour on the Patriot Discord. So I would be in there, Deuce could be in there, and the fans could come in and ask questions in text form, and then we would like have an ongoing discussion.
Reddit has that too. What do they call it on Reddit?
AMA.
An AMA.
Well, that's Ask Me Anything. That's a little different.
Right, but those are live.
Yes. Yeah, but like that's the idea of it, and they're pretty popular. Like, and you have sort of like, what it's kind of like. It's kind of like curse words, honestly. It's kind of like that, where it's like the same people kind of gather, every week and that sort of thing. So it could be something, but I don't know if we would like.
Just call into the show here. We're sitting here about 4 to 6 hours a week. We're available.
This is for people that want to text instead of call in and talk. Which is a lot of people nowadays.
Sure.
A lot of platforms.
Yeah.
Cody in Indiana says, today is a day of celebration.
Cody.
We finally got a good call from Christian in L.A. We got to hear him play the bongos underwater, and then Fred promptly hung up on him.
Wow.
There you go.
Stupid Uber driver. He's going to call back and blame the Uber driver. It was his fault.
But, is it that important that you have to call like you're in an Uber?
It was actually his limo driver.
Tell him he's buddy.
He's trying to downplay
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I'm expected
Christian
to
in
call
LA.
into
I'm
this.
really disappointed you're in an Uber and not
Well, it might have been an Uber X.
It could be. Yeah.
XL.
Could have been.
He just gets the big one anyway.
Yeah.
The X is
Colby
just the
has a
regular
quick
Uber.
over and under game. Over under Drake Maye touchdown passes 20. Over.
Oh, I
we
hope
got an
over.
Over.
Game started by Diggs 12.
Over.
Over.
If any of these are under, then
Wins for the Patriots 8.
Over.
Push.
I'm going to 9. I stick my flag in 9.
I'm
I'm
gonna say
staying
under,
at 9.
Just
I
because you're
think
Paul.
no, because I think 8's the number, but it's over
So
under
let's see
8.
what I said.
Can't
Push.
pick push.
Oh, okay, push.
Push.
Let's see.
But I think better chance 7 than 9.
Okay. 855 Pats 500 is the hotline. Boston Cream's on it. What's up, Boston Cream?
Hey, guys, I got a little bit of a gripe with Evan.
good.
Evan's very smart, obviously. He knows a lot.
Thank
He's
you.
very good within his own lane.
Thank you.
That being said, Evan is a little bit of a know-it-all.
No.
I'll give 2 examples here. There was some discussion about pop culture, and Evan asked Paul how often he hangs around 18, 19-year-olds, which I thought was quite funny, as I believe Paul is a father of 1, if not 2 of them.
Yeah.
Doesn't
is
count.
true.
Those are
That
his
we know
kids.
of. Yeah.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, but do you think that I'm around those
I don't
kids?
remember saying that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
It sounds like you, though.
The second one was the conversation, I think it was last week, about manual transmission vehicles. Evan was saying that they still make manual transmission vehicles, which is true, and he said they're usually paddle shift.
No, I said now we've adapted to more paddle shifters on sports cars, especially.
Yeah.
Yes, true, but the question was, do they still have a clutch? He said yes, but they have paddle shifters. Paddle shifting cars, you don't use a clutch in a paddle shift to change gears.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Thanks,
didn't know.
Boston.
Got me.
Boom, bro.
Wait, I do have a question.
Oh,
Yes.
Wait, the Patriots start 5-0 or 0-5?
What's more likely?
Better chance?
Oof.
0-5.
I have to say that too.
yeah. I mean,
Thanks, Boston
If
Cream.
that's a real old school Andy Hart. Better chance.
What if
Yeah.
they're like 3-2?
just paint
I
you
don't
into
know.
a corner.
But that's. I mean, obviously.
I'm sorry, I can't.
I don't think it's very.
Call.
I don't think it's very likely
Either
that
one's
you're
not
going
likely,
5
but
and
that's
0, and
the
I don't think
point.
it's very likely you're going 0 and 5. But
I can.
I don't
So
see
overall, I
them
thought
winning all
that call was
5.
four. That's all.
What's more likely? They
He does not
disband.
take criticism well.
From
If
certain.
that was me, I'd be in the corner in the fetal position at all times.
That's not true. I take criticism
You
well.
listen to
from
the Open
people-
every show?
From certain people. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Certain people. Hey,
What do you mean, you people?
you people. Travis
Darius in Louisville has some major gripe. There's a lot of
gripes.
capital letters used in this
Good.
email.
Like it.
Oh yeah.
He says a couple things I have to say.
bad.
First, can we stop comparing Vrabel and his staff to Mayo and his staff? We all know how inexperienced Mayo and his coaches were, so it's not even a fair comparison. How about we compare what Vrabel is doing to what Bill was doing for 20 years? That's a better comparison. Don't get me wrong, I believe in Vrabes. But to anoint him the next best thing since sliced bread just because he's doing better than Mayo is kind of ridiculous, in my opinion. Second thing that grinds my gears is callers and emails that ask the same annoying question every time, especially if you guys just talked about it. Just pay attention to the show and your questions will be answered.
Wow.
There you go.
A lot of
I don't
anger.
know if he's talking about anyone in particular.
Some of the emails come in before we've actually talked about it in defending of the email a little
Good
bit. So
defense.
you get like a question
Yeah.
that maybe we hadn't talked about when he sent the email in, and you know, sometimes it can cross streams.
I think it's a fair comparison, though. I was thinking a little bit about, Bill saying when they won in 2001, they didn't really feel like they had their team in place yet. And, Paul, you mentioned some of the veterans that he brought in that second year, his guys. And I think you've seen a little of that with Vrabel bringing in Robert Spillane, the guys that they know. I always feel like Will Campbell was one of his guys, even though we didn't play for him. But I think you see some of the similar things. They're still going to have to, I use the example of Asante Samuel. Now, year 3, 4, maybe you have a third or fourth round cornerback waiting in the wings that, you're excited
Deuce is
to get a
calling
chance.
Super Bowl. I mean, I'm not saying they drafted Will Campbell's playing left guard. They drafted Matt
But
Light.
I'm
he
not
played
not
left
saying
guard,
it.
left tackle. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Anthony Pleasant.
Stephon Diggs, Deion Branch.
Roman Pfeiffer, Brian
Bobby
Cox,
Hamilton,
Robert Spillane.
Do the math.
I mean, come on.
Win.
Trevor writes in,
Championship?
we spent so much time in the offseason talking about wide receiver, and while we do still need a true elite guy in the future, when looking at our roster, it might be our deepest position. Paul will laugh, but Chisholm is one of the few guys who went out and earned a spot.
Chisholm's the future, Paul.
Well, I'll read that again since I was interrupted. Paul will laugh, but Chisholm is one of the few guys who went out and earned a spot, and then Booty, Hollins, Douglas, Diggs, Williams is probably the only room I don't feel terrible about our fifth guy seeing the field. Funny how that worked out.
So real quick though,
Well, Kyle Williams is the fifth guy.
yeah, Kyle Williams back at practice.
Yeah.
I
That's a good
I would sort of agree. I think like
I
the
just
bar-
don't feel great about the first three guys.
the bar was on the floor. Like, let's not get it twisted. But at the same time, I kind of like the mix that they have. Like, I at least want to see what it looks like. I kind of like the mix that they have.
This
Now,
is all going to
if
be
you-
like Drake May to me. It's all going to be about Diggs.
If you can go out there and if Terry McLaurin actually got traded, like obviously you would want that type of player to add to this room. But like we were talking about Jacoby Myers a little while ago, like I kind of want to see what it looks like with these 4 or 5 guys because I do think they complement each other pretty well and they have different body types that can kind of mix and match a little bit. So again, I know the bar wasn't very high, but this is one of the better rooms that they've had in a while.
Okay, so
let's see
we
what it
talked
looks
a
like.
little bit about how much or little you can glean from preseason. But are there any indications that Josh McDaniels is going to be able to scheme guys open? Like,
I mean, I think so.
He better.
Yeah.
but like, do we
He
get it?
better.
Do we get that indication for preseason? Because I saw some guys like whether or not Drake sees them or not is a
Well,
different
yeah,
question.
Minnesota-
But we saw guys get open.
Yeah,
I
Minnesota.
think in
they
the
were-
joint practices more you can see that kind of stuff because they're not going to show very much on the preseason tape because they don't want to put it on film what they're doing. But in the joint practices, especially against the Vikings, I think they did scheme some stuff open. Certainly like the one to Travion Henderson at the end of day one that everybody's talked about for 2 weeks.
I saw that.
Yeah, that one was definitely sort of like a pick wheel, like rub concept that they kind of schemed him open on. So maybe a little bit, but I still think that that's always been a strength of Josh's. Like I never really had any concern that he would be able to dress it up and try to get guys open.
Yeah. I'd say too. Just I think Evan said it a lot, but just to underline it, I think Diggs has shown like, yeah, when I want to, I'll be able to, but I'm not gonna like go out here and leave everything I've got on the field in a joint practice or in a day in shells out here. So that's what I'm excited to see is what is Stephon Diggs fully integrated into this offense with a game
and
plan
if
look
he's
like.
a reasonable facsimile of what Diggs has been, then I would agree with everybody's optimism about
Kinda
the wide
gets
receivers.
in.
If not, then you
Yeah.
have the same guys that
Yeah.
you've had.
I don't know if it's not. I understand that where they're at still with the talent level in the room, but I do feel more optimistic about this room compared to
I
the
do
last,
too,
like,
but only
4 or
because
5
of
years.
Diggs.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we might be playing a semantic
McDaniels
argument.
too.
I think Diggs. I think Matt
That's kinda my
Collins has
point.
been
You gotta
better
get
than I
open.
thought.
What?
You
Well, that's
gotta
what I
get
mean.
open.
That's what I was.
The coach can't do it.
Well, he
the
can
coach
help.
can't do it for you.
He can help.
I mean, I know that everybody thinks that it's all about the coaches, but it's about talent.
It's about both.
Gary Myers didn't think that.
Let's see. Who's this? Andrew in New Jersey wants to earn a T-shirt. So let's see how he does. He says he's got a couple trivia questions, and if they're good, if people think they're good, maybe Matt will get him a
little something
T-shirt.
for the effort.
Last season, there was one game where Joey Sly missed his only field goal attempt. What team was that
God.
against? Not an extra point.
Shoot. That's been lost to the sands of time.
Tennessee Titans.
No.
No.
I'm
No,
gonna
I
say
meant that.
I have no idea.
The Jets.
But he was just one. He missed more than one field goal, right?
I guess maybe he means
There
in
was
the
only-
game he only had one
There
attempt.
was only
and he
one
missed it?
attempt and he missed it.
Again, you gotta word our questions better.
Who did we play last year?
The answer
17
is
games.
Miami Dolphins in Week 12.
Oh, I mean, they got
Paul, you remember that?
smoked,
Come
so.
on. No?
I don't.
Wow.
That's other things.
Harder question.
If it was like
we didn't get that one right.
If it was
So
12 years ago, I might have been able to get it.
Joey Sly missed 7 field goals, not extra points. What teams were they against? Well, we didn't get one of
Oh,
them.
jeez, Danny.
He missed
Barth would get
Tennessee.
this.
Seattle in Week 2. He missed one. Miami Week 5. He missed one. Tennessee Week 9. Miami, week
We're
12.
supposed to have committed to memory
Yeah.
the individual
I
misses
don't
from the
know.
kicker.
Well, he just wants a T-shirt. So
No T-shirt for you.
Send him a
Matt, get Andrew, New Jersey a T-shirt.
Joey Sly, the kicker who's not on the team anymore. He's the one we're supposed to remember.
Still booming him out there,
mean,
though. Yeah.
He kicked another 63-yarder, I guess, in the preseason.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like everybody's making 63 yarders
Everybody.
now. It's
It's the thing to
ridiculous.
do.
For the guy, who's the guy on the Cowboys? I can't.
Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon Aubrey.
64
It's
yards.
literally kicking from the other side of the 50.
Well,
And
that's
it's just
the guy from Jacksonville.
unbelievable.
70-yarder. I mean, that's well into the other side
yeah,
of the
like
field.
it's crazy. Like that, all these kickers these days are kicking from 60 plus now.
Adam or Adon from California.
Adonai Mitchell.
He says, I think it's funny.
Funny how?
On the 2024 draft, you guys played a game of would you rather? Maybe the guy and the rest of the class a miss, or may bust and hit on the rest of the class.
Yeah.
We all can agree we are hoping May's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Did we play
I
that
do
game?
remember playing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is crazy that out of everything that went wrong last year, if Maye ends up being what we all think he's going to be, they somehow got that right, which is probably the hardest part to get right. And they, not only from a evaluation standpoint, because that part was probably pretty easy, but the development standpoint, I think they did a nice job with Drake Maye.
That's why I push back a little bit on how bad the coaching was, because I do think Alex Van Pelt did a good job with Drake Maye.
Yeah.
And I saw some examples. Now, did he do a good job with, overcoming the offensive line? No, they didn't. They insisted on just doing it the same way all the time and never doing anything to help those tackles. But I do think they schemed guys open for Drake Maye and gave him a lot of easy throws, and I think they brought him along pretty well, and I think he did develop a little
They
bit.
didn't rush him. They brought him along well. His mechanics and his footwork improved under Alex Van Pelt. Now, Van Pelt's a great quarterback coach. Maybe I think that's what we really are getting out of that. I don't know
think he did a
about the
good
rest of
job.
it.
Him individually, I think. Do you have any breaking?
No.
You have breaking news?
No, just
Oh.
Taylor Swift and.
Well, you were looking at the phone. I thought maybe you had a little something.
Good for them.
Yeah, two happy kids. Good luck.
I don't know how they'll be able to make ends meet. Those two. Weddings are expensive, bro.
Is this the end of the Chiefs dynasty?
I'm glad to know that it was for real.
Yeah.
Like, I thought maybe, this is all just... But
you didn't really buy into that whole the NFL created
not
that,
the
did you?
NFL, but like her, her marketing.
But you remember that first year when they were together, people thought for sure it was like an NFL conspiracy.
Yeah, the NFL doesn't tell Taylor Swift what to do.
Right. Well, I'm just worried now that she's in love if she doesn't have the same kind of turmoil in her life to write the great poetry that she writes, And
I'm
maybe,
just looking forward to when they break
when
up
she starts
and that
having
album comes
babies?
out.
Well, I'm saying I'm not going to wish a divorce upon them, but divorce be some good good inspiration for Taylor if that were to happen.
I'm gonna tap out of this because the Taylor Swift
go.
army is gonna come after me because of my Taylor Swift takes. So.
Do they all like
that
the
was
Chiefs?
pretty old school chauvinistic of you. Like when she starts having babies, who says she's going to have babies?
She's going to have babies.
Why? What if she doesn't want to?
If she doesn't want to, she won't have them, but I think she will.
I mean,
just automatically.
Jason Kelsey's got like 4 daughters, so they better get going. They want to balance that off a little bit.
Because Mama Kelsey will want to have grandchildren.
Cousins.
She has grandchildren.
She's got all those daughters, granddaughters. She needs some sons. Come on, T Swift.
Franklin in Baltimore writes in, who among these two receivers do you think will benefit more from McDaniel's scheme and the influx of better talent, Diggs, Williams, Hollins, provided better spacing, Demario Douglas or Kayshon Boutte? As a follow-up, which of these do you think hasn't been made redundant with the Patriots' offseason additions? So Demario, we're talking about Pop and Boutte here. Which benefits the most from McDaniels and Diggs and better receivers around them?
Pop, not even close.
Pop, not even close. Yeah,
That would be my pick.
Bootie's going to be relegated to not that much. Yeah, I think he's going to play a role.
Sacrificial X.
Yeah, the sacrificial X.
Yeah.
Is he going to lose that role to Hollins?
He might.
I think to me that's fluid between those two, and in a perfect world, it's Kyle Williams emerges into that role full time, and then they could maybe. I mean, I don't know, Ev. What do you think? Do you think that role is just always going to be this is kind of what it is, or like when Randy Moss came in 2007, we have a special player now. This is an extreme example, but
I think
we have a special player here. Let's expand it a little bit.
That kind of extreme example.
No.
Like maybe the bare minimum is like Brandon Cooks. in 2017.
Yeah.
And I think that was also out of necessity because Edelman got hurt. So
Yeah.
like they kind of had to feature Brandon Cooks even more than maybe they planned. But you have to have, and Brandon Cooks was a really good player. So like you have to have at least that level of X receiver
Mount Cooks
in order for
climbing up.
that to change. I think like in Vegas he had Devontae Adams. So
Yeah.
obviously they changed some things to
Yeah.
feature Devontae Adams. I don't think you're changing things for Matt Collins and
Right.
Keyshawn Boutte.
Well, that's why Matt Collins is almost kind of the perfect guy for that. If you're not
Yeah.
going to make it, like
I
you
think
just want to
he's
put somebody in there who's going to
I
run
think
deep.
he's
and,
really the perfect
you
guy
know,
for it because
not
I
gonna
know
get
Paul will
mad.
hate this, but he blocks well. He does like all
Well, I'll
of
say
the,
he's the perfect guy because he can play any of the spots.
Yeah, and
I
he
think
does-
that's what Josh McDaniels loves. I
He does all
I
that
could plug
dirty
him
work.
in anywhere.
He does all the dirty work. He's gonna catch the ball in traffic. He's gonna win the ball down the field. He's gonna block. He's not gonna bitch about his targets. Like he's just.
I agree with all that.
He was
All of it.
all over the defense 2 practices
That's
ago.
fantastic. It was
I mean, he
great.
was
It was good to
all
hear.
over them. I've never seen anything quite like it. Just yelling at them, hyping them up, yelling at Gonzalez. All you do is watch. Talking trash on the sidelines. It was pretty funny.
Cisco in San Diego writes in. He has an over-under game. Over-under. Opening touchdown drive, 7.5.
Oh God, that's a high number.
Yeah.
Under.
I go under, but
game-winning drives, 5.5.
That's a really high number.
Yeah.
Under.
with that too.
Come on.
He's thrilled with
Trevion
3.
Henderson touchdown, 6.5.
Over.
Under.
Over.
It's a lot of
Kyle
touchdowns
Williams
for passing
touchdowns, 5.5.
Oh,
Under.
under.
Games where defensive holds teams under 21 points, 6.5.
Oh.
Oh.
This schedule is
21
pretty.
and a half points.
I'll be positive on this one and
7
say
times.
yes. They got some bad offenses.
That's the best number. I'm going to say over because I felt like I said under for everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And longtime listener, first time reaching out. Shout out Sammy Morris, who's a family friend.
Nice.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Okay.
Sammy
Nice
Morris.
man, Sammy Morris.
Shout out Sammy Morris.
I like Sam Morris.
So Brian at Swansea wants to steal Andrew Callahan's 2 stats in a lie game. You want to play that?
I do like Andrew Callahan's 2 stats in a lie.
So he wants to change it to 2 facts in a lie instead of stats.
Okay.
2 facts in a lie.
Sure.
So there's 3 statements. 2 of them are facts.
Oh, we have big breaking.
One,
news, though.
oh, what is it?
What do you got?
Jakob Johnson released by the Houston Texans.
Oh, here we go. Fullback
Great.
who speaks
We
German.
break it.
Oh snap!
Yeah.
Josh is just like, come back.
Let's
to
go.
me,
Let's go.
Jakob.
Sorry, Terrell.
Let's go. Is correct.
Okay.
It's more like Jack Westover.
I'm a little surprised he got released, though. I think he was a good
I
player.
am excited about that. Bring him back. Bring him home.
All right.
Bring him
2
home.
facts and a lie.
I hope so.
Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are the only 2 quarterbacks to win 13 or more games in a season for 2 different teams. That's statement 1. Statement 2, the New York Jets have never made the playoffs 3 years in a row. And over the last 12 years, the Kansas City Chiefs have more regular season wins than the Jets and Giants combined.
We have to pick out the lie.
Pick out the lie.
I'm going to go with A as the lie.
I might go A of the lie too. It seems like, but 13's a lot, right? Like,
Did Brady win 13 with Tampa?
No, I don't think so.
Number 1 is the lie.
yeah.
Jared Goff is the only quarterback to accomplish this feat. He won 13 with the Rams in 18 and 15 with the Lions last year.
Okay.
And the other 2 are true. Okay, he has 2 more.
Brady did win 13, so I was right, but not for the right reasons.
Right.
won
Right for
13?
the wrong reason.
Oh, yeah.
Is he counting like playoff games? Because that doesn't count.
He might have won 13. He's Tom
No.
Brady. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's the GOAT.
Anyway, game 2, there was a 272 game gap between
Okay,
completed
13,
passes
21.
by a Patriot quarterback. Okay. That's weird.
272 game gap between what?
Completed passes by a Patriot quarterback. What does that even mean?
I don't know what that means. Anyone?
I don't know. That's.
No, I'm still on.
Oh,
I'm still on.
For
Jakob
between
Johnson.
Brady and someone else?
Maybe. Okay. Again, not worded well.
I don't understand.
John Hanna is the only guard to ever receive a vote for AP Offensive Player of the Year.
I'm going to say that's
These
true.
are all just fat. Oh, this is another round
Yeah,
of games.
Now another round of
I
games.
can't really participate in this one because I don't understand the first.
And John Stallworth holds the NFL record with 8 consecutive playoff games with a touchdown reception. A Patriot player with only 12 career regular season touchdown receptions is second all-time on this list with 7 straight playoff games with a touchdown reception. I don't know. Number 2 was the lie.
Number 2 was the lie. Does he have any explanations there?
Yeah. John Hanna did receive a vote for AP Offensive Player of the Year. I knew that.
Yeah.
Number 1 is true. He says Doug Flutie completed a pass to John Stevens in the fourth quarter of a loss to the Atlanta Falcons on October 15th, 89. His next pass completion as a member of the Patriots was to Troy Brown in the fourth quarter.
So now I understand it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now I understand.
It
what
could have
what
been
he was
worded
saying.
better. Yeah.
Yep. That's why I wanted you to read that
The
explanation.
last one, over the last 14 years, every team in the AFC South has a losing record.
Over the last 14 years. Okay.
Has had, he should have said, has had, I think,
Like 1 year?
Like 1 year losing record.
No, I think he means over the last 14 years, they all have a losing record.
Sure.
The Colts don't have a losing record over the last.
Well, then it would be the lie.
Oh, I see what he means.
Right?
That would be the
Cumulatively.
lie.
And like that-
Cumulatively,
that's
okay.
a little bit of Peyton Manning.
Okay,
luck,
I
right?
get it
So-
now. Over the last 14 years, every team in the AFC South has had a losing record over those 14 years. The second statement, Andy Reid has a higher career regular season winning percentage than Bill Belichick.
Okay.
Regular season.
I believe that's true.
And finally, Mike Vrabel is the only NFL head coach who has also caught a touchdown pass in the NFL.
Oh.
Like active head coach.
Which one is the lie?
It's tough.
I'm
I'm
going
gonna
to
go
stick with the
2.
first. I'm going to say A is the lie.
Colts.
I think the Colts
Yeah.
probably have a winning record.
Number 3 is the lie.
Number 3 is the
Mike Ditka also caught a touchdown pass from Roger Staubach in Super Bowl VI.
Mike Dick
But
is
that-
not a head coach.
He was a head.
He was a head coach.
But it did not say active.
Yeah, it didn't
Ever.
say active.
I thought you guys said active.
I don't
Well,
Did
I
not
mean,
say
I
active.
would have
I
been-
was
made more
thinking
sense,
active.
honestly.
I thought you guys said active.
Dan Campbell never caught a touchdown?
No.
He was a tight end.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. I guess not.
Okay.
I feel like he had to have, right? Like he played tight end in
Did
the
he
league.
really even play?
No.
No.
Like in all
but,
seriousness,
you
I
know.
mean
But-
that.
and he
hard.
was definitely a blocking tight end. Like I look at the guy, but
It's like slip him out, hit him in the flat.
right.
John in Ireland.
Those are good.
Yeah.
And those are hard.
Yep. John in Ireland, can we expect to see tight ends being used for support for Will Campbell in the early season games?
I think you'll expect to see
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I think,
frequently.
I think for both tackles, yeah.
Yeah.
Chips, things like that. I think that's we've seen that all summer long. Honestly, that they've been.
I have to say that
throwing
when
chips.
the rumors of Hendrickson possibly going to the Raiders, that scared the hell out of me. I mean, what do? You know,
chip him, double him,
chip him.
send
I
waves.
think Dan Campbell had like 11 touchdowns in his career.
Yeah.
Really?
That
Yeah.
sounds.
So that's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Womp womp.
Dan Campbell's also 3.
Oh, it was wrong anyway.
Just
Never
3
mind.
days older than me. Oh, yeah.
Because it was Ditka. Like, never mind.
Ditka.
Sweet Kid writes in. Haven't heard from him in a long time.
a sweet kid,
Melvin in Tennessee. I spent the summer studying the English language so that I can sound smarter. So far, I've learned 3 new words. I don't know what those words are, though, yet. Anyway, how do you feel about the backup quarterback position for a team that might be on the verge of making the playoffs? I hope they can pull out a game or two of Maye's sideline. That brief period could swing things.
I have a question that's kind of related to that, but not necessarily for the same reasons. Do you think having a quality backup quarterback is more important if you expect to be a good team than it would be if you're just trying to rebuild?
No. I would
So
just.
say that again. Is it more?
I think Melvin made a point to say for a team that is on the verge of making the playoffs, does that make it more pressing that you don't feel great about the backup quarterback? Or not?
I get his
think
point,
whether you're
like,
good or
if-
not, you
if-
don't want your starting quarterback to get hurt.
No,
And
but
I
if
think-
he's-
I kind of think you're dead.
If he's but if he said on the verge of making the playoffs, so 1 or 2 games could be the difference. So if Maye turns his ankle in the first quarter, do you have a guy who can come in and hope and win that game
Yeah,
for you?
my guess is if you're just that kind of a team where you're a middling team, but Maye's going to put you over the top and maybe get you into the playoffs, then you're not going to have a backup that's going to be able to do that. Whereas if you're a great team,
right,
and you're stacked, and I lose my quarterback, all hope is not lost.
So you're
I
saying
have a really good team, and if I can get a guy that can go in there and keep the train on the rails.
So you're saying the backup wouldn't. It's not about the backup being good enough. It's the people around him with a backup wouldn't be good enough.
The better your team is, I think that would be more important.
That's a good point, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that reasoning.
I would feel like if you think the Patriots are a borderline playoff team, it'd be hard to imagine that you're going to continue to be a playoff team if Drake Maye doesn't play 3 games. Yeah. Right? Unless Drake Maye's just not as good as we all think.
Mike's like,
I don't even want to think about that one. 2020.
But the bottom line,
and they're going to go back to 2020 again.
No, bottom line for Sweet Kid, and I think the whole panel here probably agrees. They might be in the market for another quarterback.
Yeah.
Well, they're definitely going to have 3. I mean, they'll probably sign one to the practice squad at the very least. Like, you can, just for.
Yeah, I think they're different things, though. Like, do you sign a guy for the practice squad to replace Wooldridge?
Yeah.
Do you think you can get better developmental type, or do you go the Fred route and look to upgrade Dobbs?
But I wouldn't be surprised, like, if like Tommy DeVito or Bailey Zappi's on the practice squad for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that it's a guarantee that those guys are going to find 53-man roster spots.
I just think it's interesting that Wooldridge, they got rid of him last week. And is there nothing there? Like, what didn't he do? Did they just say, well, it's never going to happen with him? Like, what's the line for making the roster as, like, a practice squad guy with a quarterback like that?
I just think that he wasn't worth, whether it's practice squad or else, having a spot for him.
It's an interesting evaluation, especially in a league where luckily now you're in a place where you feel like you have the quarterback for the moment, but I would always be looking for some kind of developmental talent, some kind of guy just to continue.
I was just talking about this on the Know It All Hill yesterday, and I just looked at it. I mean, I saw the kid make some throws, and I don't think he was completely without the ability to pass, but we watched, I think it was 20 practices altogether. He almost never got any reps.
Yeah.
So that told you that they didn't really think, like, I don't know how that, and some people, I'm not saying you guys fell into this category because I don't think you did, but some people are like, wow, I'm really surprised they let him go so quickly. I'm like, they kind of told you what they thought about him all summer when he was watching.
Yeah.
Especially those, like the joint practices, he got 0.
Never.
2 days in Minnesota.
We got a minute
0.
left. Let's quickly get to some of our callers who have been holding on. Justina, I believe, in North Carolina. What's up?
Hi. I was just going to say that, I love Evan, and I know he has a lot of, is there a background? Oh, well, anyway, I know he's very knowledgeable, but I just didn't appreciate them saying that he was a know-it-all. I don't know if I took it wrong or what, and I appreciate Evan not taking it too hard.
So,
knowledgeable.
So you got Evan's
he
back.
Did take it to heart,
you
though.
got
He was
Evan's back.
mad.
Actually, Justina, Evan likes to be called a know-it-all because he believes he is.
100%.
So
Like, people think that
thanks
that's
for the
an
call.
insult. I don't know why I would take that as an insult.
Right.
I do know.
It's nice your grandma
Right.
called in to defend you there.
Wayne's in Pennsylvania. Hey, Wayne. Wayne.
Wayno.
Wayne.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. He's gone.
Wayne's World.
All right. Sorry, Wayne. All right. Well, that's going to be it. That's going to be it for this edition of Patriots Unfiltered. Catch 22 this week.
Tomorrow, 11 to 1.
11 to 1 tomorrow.
Yeah, we got some moving parts.
Okay.
We got to find a time for Catch 22.
And then we will be back on Thursday. You're going to want to watch Thursday's show because you're going to learn something new. I guarantee it. Something in the way of something that people in this show, particularly our callers, are always very, very interested in. So on Thursday,
the 28th?
Yeah.
Oh.
Can I clear my calendar and make sure I'm here?
Yeah. So you're definitely going to want to tune in on Thursday.
Yeah.
Until then, thanks for listening today.
Hey, this is Alex. Thanks for tuning into the show. If you really want to help us, make sure you like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, make sure you follow us on the New England Patriots YouTube channel to see this show and everything else we do here at the Patriots. Thanks a lot.